Be like my boy on Hustle and Flow. Cut that fan off. We want to hear everything. So go log in here. So that one's in the background. Cool. And go back to YouTube and go to Studio. Make sure I don't get no echo. All right. See, mute, mute, mute. 1, 2, 1, 2. So I would have to. All right. So make sure everything's like it's supposed to be. So I was doing a test run over here. All right. Bud files in the building. Do you hear echo, Bud files? Yeah, because I'm trying to share from StreamYard over here. See if I can make this solo mission. So it's already solo, but I want to blow this up and make it bigger so I can see that. All right, so there it goes. All right, so I'm good on YouTube over here. See if I can hide that on StreamYard over here. The number of viewers. Hold on. This is StreamYard, yeah. So I should be able, there you go. There. Pull it out back some more. Come on, man, this thing. There you go. Stream, there. There. All right, cool. And let me swing back over here, see what we doing over here. All right, am I getting an echo? Mic check 1, 2, 3. Do you hear the fan in the background? All right, so we're gonna be live. Try to hit this up real quick. Gonna go do some things. Shout out to the people in the building. All right, let me go over here. Let's see. I think I got the mic on over here, and I gotta zoom out on this side and see how. I don't know, catching it from the side or something. Let's see. All right. I might have to just leave it unless somebody say something about the echo and I have in the back and stuff. But shout out to people coming in. What's going on? Going on? And they say this is an issue down here because I'm not getting the something went wrong with my chat. All right. Shout out to StreamYard. Okay. I can get a 1 in the chat or, somebody here. I'm about to get ready to get started. Just trying this little test runs over here. Okay. So basically, what it is, man, coming late night, money chat. Might even pop back in that morning with this too. Was trying to get some people to come over so we can have a little discussion about this. But when it comes down to it, man, the money relationship go hand in hand. A lot of people always saying that people who get divorces, they get divorces behind, the money and cheating. So you always hear a woman or a man got a divorce because of the money and the cheating. But it's a little bit more deeper than that. You know, for one, it's high expectations. You expect certain things from a person without even talking to them, and that goes as far as with money. Women expect to be pampered and taken care of like their parents did. You know, if the mother didn't work, then the woman thinks she shouldn't work. She shouldn't work. But in this day and time, it doesn't always go like that. You know, when it comes down to it, it takes two in most scenarios. And I say most because not everybody has to be in a relationship that fulfills that, you know, you have to work and do all this other stuff. Most people, they don't have to work. Time, what's going on? Am I coming in clear? You hear a little echo or something? I was trying to check all that out. But when it comes down to it, it's very simple, man. Relationships, up and down, they come and go because, like I said, it's a high expectation. You know, even in a relationship, the whole cheating aspect. When somebody gets tired of a relationship, they looking forward to actually just being in a relationship. If a relationship don't work, it don't work. You know, to the point of, hey, the relationship is what it is. If you're in a situation to where you have a significant other, y'all haven't talked about cheating. Y'all just it's like taboo. It's already should be a thing that should be done. You know, I shouldn't have to tell you that, hey man, you shouldn't cheat on me. It already most women think this already a thing. Most men think it's already a thing. So when the person cheat, they looking like, how could you? You know, and even in some situations, you do have the aspect where you're talking about cheating. You know, I think one man should be with one woman. I think one woman should be with one man. You have that talk, and then turn around, the significant other still cheats. So what was the problem there? The understanding and the expectation in a relationship when it comes down to it that you're supposed to be doing things to provide a lifestyle for me not to cheat. Just like the man has a situation where the woman shouldn't be cheating, it's the same thing with the woman. The woman has that expectation of the man should be cheating. So if a man is not paying the bills, she's not getting her needs met, she's gonna look elsewhere. Same thing with a man. If a man is not getting his needs met to a point, he's gonna look elsewhere. When it comes down to it, a lot of times we have issues with a lot of us not being able to communicate well. So the money aspect, it comes down to this. If I'm in a situation, let me kind of see if I can bring this up so I can let people see what's going on the backside when people are saying stuff. Yep, that's not working. Kind of made it even worse. Oh, all right. Well, I guess we just have to deal with the way it is. But the aspect of people cheating, it comes down to this. If you're in a situation, money's not being spent the way you want, you're not being able to go on trips, do what you want to do, it's gonna come a point to where it's not gonna be cool for you. It's not gonna be a point to where the relationship should be going to the next level. And let me see if I can zoom this stuff back in there. See that comes good. All right, zooming out a little more. Yeah, because in the end, man, it's to a point if a person's not getting what they want in a relationship, they gonna seek from other people. I mean, to the point, I always tell my wife this. I said when it comes down to it, with most men, they cheat for a reason. If a man is not being satisfied at home, he's gonna look elsewhere. And it's not the point of him just going out there looking. The situation is going to present itself. Prime example: if your woman don't cook at home, one of your coworkers has a extra piece of chicken, and she said, "Well, I made too much. I'm not gonna give it. I'm not gonna throw it away. You can have it." You're gonna appreciate that. You don't have no money for lunch one day, and you say, "Man, I'm just gonna work through lunch." And like, man, I'll buy you something because you gotta eat. You're a good employee. This and that. You're gonna appreciate that. Little subtle things like that might drive him to the point of cheating because his wife don't cook. You know, and even the sex, that's a big issue too. You'll have a situation where when it come down to sex, a man who's not being provided for at home in that scenario, that situation, he's gonna start looking at women more and more. A woman who wear tights to work, he's gonna look at the girl with the tights a lot more than he would normally do if he have sex. Men look in general, and my thing, like I've told my wife, I said I'm not a disrespectful person, but I look. I'm a man. Now this is the thing. If I'm looking, staring, gawking, all this other stuff, then it should be a problem. But other than that, for the most part, if I'm just looking and I'm turning my head, I'm a man. I'm gonna look. But the point of it is, I'm respectful about it. I'm not, ooh, man, none of that. And nowadays, in this day and time, if a man is not looking, it's kind of crazy. You questioning the situation. All right, brother. All right. See you later. Now, when it goes to certain situations, like this is the whole reason why I'm bringing all this up in regards to it. It comes down to the money. The expectation of you paying all the bills, if it wasn't presented at the beginning of the relationship, or you didn't present that, or you guys didn't have a structural sound mind of how things are going to be ran in the house, then that makes the relationship bad. No, if you're trying to facilitate a powerhouse and you can't do that by yourself, because they always say teamwork makes the dream work. A lot of people fail to understand it, and two is better than one. They always say two heads are better than one, two hands are better than one, you know. And when it comes down to it, we have situations to where a lot of people, they're bad off due to what situations? Wanting to do stuff on their own. A lot of people want to be in a single relationship. They don't want nobody telling them what to do. They just want to be able to control everything. They want to be able to control the woman. They want to be able to control the man. They want to be able to control the kids, the finance, the food, what to eat, even down to what socks you're going to wear. And that goes for the adult and for the kids. I know grown men, well, let's just say teenagers who are in high school, and they parents to a degree still tell them what to wear to school. I know grown men who go out, they can't even pick their clothes because their woman picked their clothes. And this is the type of relationship they're in, even with the finance. There's situations where guys have to stop drinking beer because they can't afford it. Their wife tell them no. And then there are situations where the man is in charge, where the man tells the woman he can't shop because he says no. He said you can't go out with your girls on a girl trip, but he can go hang out with the fellas and drink beer. It's vice versa. It goes both ways. That's why I always hear this whole gender war between men and women. When it comes down to it, both sides are wrong. You just have some that do the game better than others. In the end, like I'm talking about, it's about the money. When you have a situation to where you lose control, both sides, that's when the situation turns, bad. Prime example. You have situations to where when it comes down to it, uh, let me try to fix this right here. All right. You have situations to where it comes down to it as a man, for you to handle your business, go to work, get you a decent paycheck, come home and provide for your family. Now, you don't make enough, it goes to a point where your wife, she has to go to work. And you both not helping you, but you both do it together. Because this is the biggest issue when it comes down to the money aspect of the family. It's household bills. It's not the man pays the rent, the man pays the mortgage, the man pays the car note. He pay all the high bills while the woman pays the small bills. Because have an understanding, if that woman has a job and she's not contributing to the household, she's meeting the demise of the household. I've seen tons of videos where women say, I'm not paying no significant bills. But you stay in the house where you share with somebody you say you love. They have funny skits to where a woman, she don't pay no bills and the man help her, empower herself. And if he lose his job, she leave him. She said, man, he can't afford me. He can't do this. He can't do that. But this is the same woman when she didn't have nothing. He was coming in helping her with everything. So it's kind of crazy when you start looking at the numbers on how to do all this stuff because in the end, like I go back to saying, two is better than one. You know, and in a household, it doesn't matter if the man makes 90% of the money or 40 or 60% of the money, and then vice versa to the woman. It's like community property. That goes to the pot for the whole family. That doesn't just go to, the wife that she has all her money and it's like you have your money, I have my money. You have your bills, I have my bills. Me and my wife, we split the bills, but there's times where I don't have enough money to pay a bill. Am I supposed to just let the lights get cut off because I don't have enough money and she has money? There's times where she might have to pay a bill, cell phone or something, and she don't have enough money. Is it to a situation where she have to let the get stuff get cut off as well? See, a lot of people are coming to these situations and these scenarios from what? The internet, other people that are talking about this, because let's get an understanding. The elders knew if we team up, we can make this work. That's like back in the day, I would always hear old people say, that guy looked crazy. He's with that fine looking woman, but at the same time, he takes care of his business. He take care of the household. And don't get it twisted, it's the vice versa too. I done seen where women say that nice looking man, he's real catch. He looks real good. But why is he with that woman? Because in the end, that woman takes care of him better than any other woman he ever dealt with. You know, I never forget this. I was in high school and it was around the time it was a situation at the school. And I think it was that time they had like anthrax was a big thing. And me and my friend, we jumped in the car. You say we did school, but there was one of my friends, his one of his OG guys that we know from his neighborhood. He was driving by, and everybody had to go outside. So he seen the guy. He was like, "She, come on, let's go get in the car." Me, like, all right, cool. As long as I make it back for practice. That's all I told him. So got in the car, drove around. We went to the little Chinese place. Everybody know about the Chinese place in my neck of the woods. We go to the little China cafeteria when they got the little $2.50 lunch special. So we eating on that, and we seen this lady come up. She was a heavy set lady. She wasn't ugly or nothing, but she was a heavy set lady, and she came up. She said, "Hey, what's up?" Talked to the guy, looked at us, looked at him, and she gave him an envelope. So I'm thinking like, man, what they selling drugs? We selling drugs to this lady? Like, what's up with it? So he comes to the car. He said, "Yeah, that's my girl." So my friend, he started laughing. He's like, "Boy, you like 'em big, don't you?" So he looked at him. He was like, "Count that." He opened the envelope, seen all that money. He's like, "Man, that girl got 3 hair salons. She gave me some money for my business because I'm running slow. She helped me start a business." He said, "Even if I cheat on this woman, I would never leave her. I never let her leave me because she's a good woman. She helps me just like I should be helping her." He said that's a good relationship. Like I had a lot of elders and older guys give me jewels throughout my time, when I was young. So it gave me a little more knowledge to be what's going on, Rael. It gave me a little more knowledge to be at peace with things, to say, man, I'm not trying to go after the finest diamond in the rough. I'm not trying to go after the worst looking woman. I can go in between, but at the same time, when it really counts financially, this woman is gonna be here, and that's what he was expressing to us. He's like, man, the lady has three I mean not nail salons, but has three beauty salons, and she helped them start a business. And I was just thinking, I'm like, man, that's crazy. I'm like, she alright, she ain't like no model, but at the same time, when you're young, you're looking more on the aspect of how good looking a woman is to define your judgment of the woman you're supposed to be with. And he was expressing to me, yeah, you can go after the finer looking women and this and that, but what you want to go after with a woman with some substance that know how to treat a man and know how to handle a relationship. And see that the thing that's lost within the community with our men and women. And it goes for the women as well. You know, there are a lot of women I talked to and they said over time, if they could have did it again, they would have went after that bus driver, that guy that used to take them home and they was cool with each other, but they never did nothing. Those guys treated them so well, but they was caught up in the hype of dealing with bad boys. And so that's always the downfall with most people. When you get to an older age, now you want to settle down. Who you going to settle down with? I've heard men say, well, you should, settle down in your 30s. I say it's along your maturity. You know, if you're a little mature, you should settle down a little earlier. Yeah, like I tell people, I got married at 25 with no regrets. You know, I didn't say, man, I should have been out there in the field a little bit longer. Man, I should have been partying, getting more girls. For what? You know, Warren G say every other city you go, no matter where you go, you see the same. So if you find somebody that's good, why not stay with them? Why not stick with them? Why do I have to go out here and say, man, I'm gonna play the field, play the dozens, whatever? Like I said, it goes back to the same thing I was talking about earlier about the money. It's not a 50-50 thing when you're in a relationship with somebody that has the mindset of a family because they're more or less looking at community property. They're looking at money that's going into the house, going into the pot. You know, I seen this one lady, she said that, and a man said it before. Sometimes you got to go 70-30 in a relationship. Sometimes that woman, she's not going to be able to pick up everything. The man has to carry the boatload. And then there's times where the man, he's just barely making ends and he deals with a woman who makes 90-10. So he might be working for the city, just getting a basic paycheck. Then you got this other who this woman, she has her own business. She has a degree. Why does that stop the relationship because this guy worked for the city? If you already have your own car, your own house, and this guy comes stay with you, and he fix little things around the house, but he doesn't pay much on the bills. Technically speaking, wasn't you paying all these bills from the jump? And let's not get misunderstood. The difference from being a homosexual. He's not coming over there just laying on the couch playing PlayStation. This guy going to work every day, working hard. To the degree most guys are not college bound. Most guys can't, to the love of me say, man, I want to get into this. It's a mental block, just saying the least. Most guys can actually do it, but it's a mental block. Most, to a degree, barely pass college. I mean, barely pass high school. You literally have some people that have, they did the studies that most men who graduate reads on a third grade level. So a man who's reading on the third grade level, how do you think his potential is going to be in college? He's going to struggle. He's going to force himself to go. Trade schools are better. A lot of people are not pushing their kids to go into trade schools. I always talk about truck driving. I drive trucks. You know, there's nothing wrong with a truck driver. Truck drivers make money. There are some truck drivers. I was just talking to Absalom. What's going on, Bunny Rose? There's a lot of truck drivers that I talk to that make good money. But when it comes down to it, how many people are actually talking about these truck drivers that make money? How many people are actually talking about these people? Don't you know gig app drivers make decent money? They're was it DoorDash? I know a guy, he makes about $1,500 a week driving for DoorDash. He's like, he makes more at driving for DoorDash than he did working in a warehouse. There are some women that say they make just as much money. Uh, One lady I seen on YouTube, she makes anywhere from $200 to $300 a day driving gig apps. She say she stack them. She said I drive DoorDash, Uber. When I'm finishing one, I'm already accepting another one. I'm making a delivery, I'm accepting another one. Having multiple phones. She's grinding and getting the money. Say the least. I say protect yourself because nowadays the gig drivers, especially at night, getting in situations. That's why I told my wife. My wife wanted to drive for DoorDash. Just do something, get the money. And her biggest thing is want to get out the house. She want to get out the house. She works from home, so that's something that she wants to do. And I told her she can do it, but at the same time, she got to take one of my boys with her. It's to a degree her wanting to do something like that, make extra money at the same time, and do something outside of the house could be a detriment to her life. Now that's something I'm not willing for her to do. At first I wasn't cool with it, but with her wanting to do this, just something to do versus after getting off work, cooking, work out a little bit, and just sit around the house and do nothing. She want to do it every once in a while, not every day. She wants to just do it a couple of times, and I'm fine with that. I don't have nothing wrong with that. Something she want to do to make a little extra money, and that's the thing. A lot of women don't want to do that. They get off work, they want to go home, chill. That's like a conversation. I was just talking to Absalon about that. I was just telling him on his channel that when it comes down to it, I was having a conversation with one of my friends' girlfriend, and I was telling her my wife would never make more money than me. And she was so mad to the point where she was like, "Oh, what are you trying to say? What you like? What's going on with that? Like, what you trying to go at your wife saying like she can never make more money or you'll leave her or something?" She was going down a rabbit hole, And I told her, I said, well, basically, I work hard. I work more hours than my wife. I work more days than my wife. So initially, she would never outpace me. I'll always work and I always make more money than her. And then she took it with a grain of salt and understood what's going on, Spawn. And so that's their understanding when she started saying, okay, I get what you're saying. See, most people have bad perception because they're listening not to understand, but to have a rebuttal and a come against whatever you're saying. Like I say with this whole money situation, a lot of relationships, there are some relationships that are 60-40. They're not 50-50. There are some relationships that are 70-30 because you have a high power woman that works at an office. She's a lawyer. Prime example. I was looking at uh what's the YouTube? I want to make you rich. And dang, I forgot the host name because he's an Indian guy. Ah, slipped my mind. But basically, he had a situation. Yeah, and just even the thing, Bunny, having something like a taser or something, even a gun. When that situation comes, it throws you off because you're not expecting it. And most people don't react or they're not good at those situations of reacting like that. So it kind of the split second can change your life, you know. And with somebody in the car is more or less if somebody's crazy enough, they'll still do it. But at the same time, now you got two situations you got to worry about. You got to worry about this woman who's ever in the car with her. You got to think about all these scenarios. Most people who get away with crimes, what always happen? If you get kidnapped, you're by yourself, it's easy because you don't have to deal with two trying to escape. You're only dealing with one trying to escape. It's easy to keep your hand, just like a kid. When you go into a store, you have two kids, one hand, other hand. Easy. Seneca, what's going on? Now, if you're in a store with three kids, three little kids, how you gonna hold three kids' hands? They can hold each other hands. All it takes is one of the kids to let go of that hand, and it's over. That kid's running off, going crazy. You know. And the crazy part about that is, like I said, most people would look at that and say, "Well, I'm not gonna touch that situation." They have somebody in the car. Both have cell phones. It's it's gonna be a bad situation for me. And that's why I told my wife to protect yourself because I don't want to get that call that your wife car is right here and she's not in it, and I'm calling her, she's not answering. You know, seeking my creator, what's going on? I haven't seen you in a minute, and I don't know what's up with this trying to give people wrenches on YouTube. I don't know why it does that. It's not doing. I'm on StreamYard and on YouTube, but yeah, the crazy part on YouTube is not going through. Something's going on, but I'm still on StreamYard. But like I say, when it comes down to it, the money aspect, it's always a push. Like I said, a 60-40. You have a woman that makes all this money and she's a powerhouse at her job. Oh, that's what I was talking about, Raj. I think that's a guy named Raj from I Want to Teach You to Be Rich. He started off um getting into finance. He had a special on Netflix, and his special on Netflix, it was crazy. He was talking to everybody about finance, and now his YouTube has been growing ever since his Netflix special came out. But this is the thing. He had a lady that was on there. She worked for Amazon. She was a lawyer for Amazon. She made $45,000 a month. high high end earner. Just high was it? No, it was 45 for them together. So it was 35. She make $35,000 a month. And No, it wasn't. What was it? Because I know he only made $5,000. So it was she made 30 and he made five. And she was a lawyer for Amazon. Expenses through the roof. Literally, she had a 12 to $2,000 gym membership. And the guy was breaking it down. Like, why do you have such an expensive gym membership? She says, well, I do three classes, anywhere from Pilates to like CrossFit training, all this stuff. Then she works out in the gym, taking showers and all this stuff. Then you have the point of like them taking trips. Their trips are not regular trips. So for this guy's birthday, like I say, he doesn't make a lot of money, you know, and he's an artist for one. He works part time doing a little job somewhere. Didn't want to disclose it, but the guy doesn't really make that much money. And he feels bad. Like if he can't go buy trash bags, he feels kind of like, dang, my wife make all this money. She pays all the bills, and I can't even go buy trash bags sometime because I'm gonna have to make a decision on buying little stuff like trash bags and deodorant. And if I have a bill, I have to pay every month to keep up with. And his wife said, well, she gives him that bill to give him something to do, and kind of responsible thing. And it's not that she was really trying to sun him or nothing like that. She really loves the guy. It's just that, she said, well, if I'm pulling weight, then I'm gonna give him something to pull weight with too, you know. And I respected it. But the whole thing of it was the guy was just, an artist, and he was a more subtle guy, and she knew that in the world that he lives in, everything is nice and flowery. But in her world, with her being a lawyer, she take risks, she's tough. And it was the reverse effects of the man in a relationship being the woman. And not saying that the guy was the woman in a relationship, but he kind of was dialed back. Yeah. And it was to the point where I'm talking about like they were dumping money in stock, uh, life insurance, everything heavy, like making that type of money. And like I say, she was a lawyer. And then there was a point where he had a couple of other people talking. There was this Asian couple that had it was crazy. They had $800,000 in the bank. They were trying to buy a house in New York. The goal was to buy a 1.1 million dollar house in New York. They had 800,000, and they were saving the money, and nobody told them about compound interest. They literally had this money in the bank. Both of them just just not even knowing that putting the money in a money market account, a CD, something that can give them a better yield than a savings account is 0.07. Because you're not getting no money. Your checking account already doesn't pay out. The savings account pay a little better than the checkings account. But the point of it is, you're not even getting the whole point. You're not even getting the whole number. You're getting a point two or a 0.2. So they were losing like due to inflation. Prime example. One of my friends, he was telling me about his sister-in-law. She went on this hiatus thing with a company that she was working overseas, and she's in the nursing field, real high up in there. She got a contract getting $200,000 a year, all expense paid. I'm talking about living arrangement. She was getting a per diem for food. So she found a place through their little community where they had to where she can live at a facility for free. They was giving her per diem every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Only thing she had to pay for was transportation back and forth to work, and her insurance on that. So she was getting her living paid for. She was getting her meals paid for. There was nothing else to pay for. She actually blew $100,000 So she ended up having 500,000 within within I think it was like 3 years of her doing it. And the crazy part was the inflation. Okay, let me go ahead and cut this off. YouTube ended up cutting me off over here. I could redo it again, but I ain't gonna worry about it. But in the end, she ended up losing all that money due to inflation. And my friend was saying, why you didn't put the money in the bank? And why you didn't put it in the market? Why you didn't put it in a stock that can yield more money? And she was like, well, I just thought that the savings account would have been the best. You know, she was single. She didn't know. And her family's not that savvy about money as well. So she lost in a lot of money due to inflation. That 500,000 was nothing. She thought, man, 500,000. She thought 5 or 600,000. She was gonna go and buy a house. When that inflation set in, the housing market went up because it was 2022. Housing market went up. It ate that 500,000, made it look like 350. 350 made that 500,000 be 350. And she was like, whoa, whoa. The car she had, like, it was nothing. It was nothing now. And I was like, man, all that for what? In the end, she burnt through all that money, didn't have nothing to show for it. Yeah, I mean, get this. I'm gonna have to charge my phone. Alonzo, what's going on, man? Yeah, I was trying to check out this thing to where people be streaming on YouTube and on StreamYard and stuff. 'Cause I see some guys do it on Clubhouse. Yeah, but I mean the craziest thing, man, people have all this money but don't know what to do with it. So in the end, they lose out. Like I said, the relationship aspect, sometimes you have to go 60-40, 70-30. You know, sometimes it is a, 20-20-80 thing. Like I said, this woman, she said she went 90-10 with a man before. She was like, the man didn't have no job. She gave him some money to go, do what he do to make money. He came back, tried to give her some of the money. She said, no, take that money and keep investing it and do what you need to do to keep making more money. I'll pay all the bills for like 2 months and then we'll start back from there. He still didn't have that much, so she was paying and she made him pay a bill or two till he start growing the money and processing. Like I said, it's not about 60-40, it's about the house money. A lot of people have gotten away from that. You know, a lot of people have gotten away from community property. Like, we're in this together. It's not just, man, I got to pay all these bills. Like, prime example, shout out to Absalom Pianki, Absalom APTV, Absalom Pianki TV. I was over there yesterday, and I hope he started doing some of the clips. I'm actually probably gonna edit some of his clips off his video and put them on my channel so you can hear it. And stay hard, what's going on? And it was crazy that we was having a conversation, and he was saying how that when it came down to the relationship, the woman saying she wanted a high value man, and high value man is sassy if they don't want to deal with a woman with kids. And I was like, look at this shaming tactic. Like, this man has to be shamed because he did everything right, went to college, got a degree, took it upon himself to get education, provide for himself, have a good life, have a nice car, house, whatever he was doing for himself. And when it got down to him picking a mate, he didn't want a woman with kids, so he's sassy. So I'm like, wow, that's crazy, And like I was expressing to him, I said, if the roles were reversed, how could the woman be in that same scenario? Because if a woman goes to school, become a high powered lawyer, and she's a career woman, and a guy comes to her and say, well, you don't want to deal with a You don't want to deal with a man that hasn't reached his potential yet. You know, you're masculine. And I told her it's the same effect. When you're shaming someone about not wanting to deal with you because of what decisions you made. That woman made a decision early in life to deal with a man and have kids. So now she's trying to shame him about it. I'm like, that's crazy. You know, same example. Like I was telling him, I know a young lady, her baby daddy, so she say this guy had a kid with her and he wants full custody of the child, but yet he's saying that he doesn't really have a job. He don't have no really where to stay. He's staying on a friend's couch, but he wants full custody. And like I was expressing to the lady, not directly to her, but to her family member, I was saying there was no way that them two should have met. There was no way that she should have had a baby by this guy because, needless to say, this woman, she has a master's. She's in her career field. She's actually making good money. She ended up buying her home, has a nice car. Relatively, she came from a relatively to do family. So she has assets and things, help from family, all this. But when it comes down to it, how did she make a mistake of dealing with a man of no substance and didn't even want to have a relationship with her, but she ended up having a baby with him? I said the two don't match. Like I told my wife, I was like, that's like you dealing with me and I'm a professional drug dealer, gang banger, but you say you want a better life for you and your kids. It don't match. How's that? You lay down with somebody and not even, know the scenario of this guy work, where does he live, how does he put, make money for himself? And that's the biggest thing with most women. They want to know the aspect of you making money. But now comes the aspect of she was dealing with him because she thought he was cute. She didn't care about his job thing. And she thought, they'll make the relationship work with a child. Because there are situations that people do that. They'll have a child and the man will step up to the plate and do the right thing because of what? The kid. Like I said, it goes back to the money aspect. That man wants to go work, provide, be a better provider for the family, not only just for the family, for his child. But then you have that aspect to where I call it the bum mode kicks in. And a bum, that's what the term for a homeless person back in the day was, a bum. So you have that mode kick in to where you're actually dealing with a man that don't want to be a father. So he's not going to pay child support and he's going to make your life a miserable living crap because he didn't want the kid in the first place. That's why I told them, I said it don't match up. This high profile, young lady who puts herself in position to be amongst, winners and inner circles, she went out her circle to find her significant other or so-called baby dad. How does it even work like that? Yeah, and like it goes back to maturity. That's what I was saying. When me getting married so young at 25, a lot of guys told me that I got married too young. I should have been married later on. I should have waited till I was 30. And I'm like, well, I'm mature for my age, for one. Two, the situation presented itself of a good woman. And, small joke. It's like passing up the best piece of chicken, you know. You might got the breasts because that's the big piece. You might got the wings and the legs nice, but the juicy thigh, that's the one you want. So I'm gonna pass up this juicy thigh to wait and hopefully see if they're gonna come out with some more fresh chicken and it's gonna be a breast. I could get one. They could bring out a pan of all legs. So, just make a small joke about that. But, my thing was I was mature. She was mature. She had some of the same properties in a relationship that I wanted, and so we sat down, talk about things, how we wanted to have kids or not. That was a deal breaker for me. When she said she didn't want to really have kids because it's work, and the thing that motivated my wife to wanting to have kids with me and we take our relationship to the next level, I told her, I said, if we have kids, you're not going to be doing it on your own. And that was the big factor. See, I don't want to throw my wife up on the bus with this, but her thing was she was looking at the aspect of us having a relationship, but the hump was nobody talked about marriage. I don't think before with her, and that was my biggest thing. Like, I want to marry my wife before we have kids. We talked about these things before we actually got into a deeper relationship because, like I told her, I don't want to be 6 months, year two down the line, and you don't want to have kids. I don't want to be in a relationship to the point where, when it comes down to it, that the things I want, you don't want. And that's one of the biggest issues, the expectations from each other. There are a lot of women, their expectations are high for men, but they have very few for themselves. And it's the vice versa for men. Men are looking at the women expectations to be high. Well, if you get with me, if I'm paying all the bills, we gotta have sex all the time, man. You gotta cook and clean all the time. But if both of you guys are working, because there's sometimes like yesterday, I cooked Sunday dinner. I don't want to, toot my own horn, but I cooked brisket. I had it sitting on the grill for about 5 hours, cooked and smoked, back and forth. Uh, Grilled some potatoes, some little small mini potatoes. I made some gravy from the juice from the brisket, and I made some kale. We eat a lot of kale now instead of collard greens, so I made the kale and was, oh yeah, macaroni and cheese, kids. So I made the macaroni and cheese, and we ate that for dinner. What's wrong with a man cooking? You know, Sometimes I'm home, I clean. What's wrong with a man cleaning? That's the relationship. If you're in a relationship where y'all do the 50-50 split where he cut the grass, you clean the inside of the house, he clean the outside of the house. That's good. And then there's sometimes relationships where you have to say, well, let me do this in the house, let me do that in the house. That doesn't say that, you're gonna do it all the time, or that doesn't say that, that's your chore. But at the same time, it makes the relationship work. You both have an understanding how you want to provide for each other. That's one of the biggest things that nobody really talks about in relationships or before they get into a deeper relationship. Like I told you, I told my wife, if I didn't have a child, the relationship would end that day. And she thought, like, "Oh, wow, you would just throw all this away?" And we've been together for, like, I think it was like a week or two. No, it was a month, probably a month and a half, almost 2 months, because we started getting deeper in conversation about marriage and stuff like that. And like I told her, I've always taken care of my nieces and nephews, had little cousins. I want my own kids. I want to leave a legacy. I want to have a generation of little me's running around. So it's imperative that I have kids. I wasn't gonna take no for an answer. I wasn't gonna, slack on that and see working what's going on. And that was my thing. Far as the bills and everything, we talked about it. She already's paying her bills. So she said we can alternate paying whatever bills that need to be paid, or you can pick a certain amount of bills. I pick a certain amount of bills. We can split them. We did the splitting bills. It worked sometimes, sometimes it didn't. or we just picked out, you pay this, I pay this, you know, and then there was times where I paid all the bills, and we had an joint account. There was times where, you know, we had a joint account to where I would pay all the bills or she would pay all the bills. But the money went in a joint account and we still had our separate accounts. So, like I said, it's the house bills. Nobody's having discussions like this before the relationship goes further. That's why you have high expectations for this man to come in, save you so you don't have to pay all these bills. So you take your money and you go shopping, you go buy. That's not the case. I'm sorry to inform you. Most men, they want to provide for their family, but at the same time, just like a man has to, you know, handle his business and tote his weight and come to the table, the woman has to do the same. And a lot of times that's not talked amongst a lot of people to where they say, you know, if I'm taking care of these bills, what are you doing with your money? You know, like I once seen this podcast where this guy says it's cool for you to find a man that pays all your bills. That's what you do. I don't have a problem with that. But when it comes to me, I shouldn't have to pay for submission. I shouldn't have to pay all your bills for you to enjoy my company, to want to be around me, to want to be with me. And it goes to be true. Where a lot of times you have situations to where if you truly love me, you would pay all the bills. But then it goes to the point, like the man expressed, if I don't pay all the bills, something happens to me and I'm not working, would you still be around? Because that's the thing. If you're paying the bills for her to be around, you lose your job, is she still going to be around? You know, the to death do you part has like quotations or um contingencies as they say with it. There's a contingency. If death do you part is only with the point of you're paying the bills and having money. If you're not having money and paying bills, then death do you part is a big thing to the point where I can't be with you. And some women and some men do say that because there are some situations where men, they be in situations like that. If they're not getting the love that they feel because a woman should pamper them and baby them, hey, they got to go. Like I said, when it comes down to it, 60-40, 90, 90-10, 80-20, it goes for both sides. Sometimes the woman picks up the slack and she pays all the bills, and the man sometimes have to stay home with the kids. I've seen situations like that to where, the woman, she's a professor. She makes a lot of money. The guy, he made a lot of money as a truck driver, but she made more money than him as a professor. So it was better for her to go to work and he would stay home and deal with the kids just to make, her have her career. And the money went a lot further in the house with her versus his money that was a truck driver. He made decent money. It wasn't no 100,000 or something like she made. She was upwards of more than 200,000. But the point of it was her money went a lot further. Yes, he could have got a part-time job, but he was more or less taking the kids, doing sports. Um, it was times that he couldn't take off when he got those part-time jobs, so he had to be a full-time stay-at-home dad. You know, does it make him less of a man that he doesn't work? No. Does it make him that he can't run the house or, has the point of being a man? If you can't have these discussions before these things get started for him not working and all that, it's not gonna work. Don't do it. Especially if you know your woman and you know your woman has a ego trip is gonna start, it's not gonna work. Don't do it. If you know your man and he has an ego trip that way to where, you know, don't do it. See, most people, like I said once again, don't have these discussions before marriage, and that's when the money in the relationship falls. A lot of time the money in the relationship falls up under false pretense because you're expecting so much from this man to provide and to do. Vice versa, the woman in most cases as well to provide. What's going on, Jones? To do more for the family, and it gets to a point to where, hey, I'm not gonna do that. You know, what are the odds of, you know, you getting into a relationship and that man says, well, I pay all the bills. All I need you to do is cook, clean, and occasionally we mess around. Any woman would jump at that any given time. But then that puts her in a vulnerable position to where it's more like spousal neglect when it comes to the money. Because if he's holding hostage over the bank account, how is she gonna be able to do like buy and do what she want to do? So you got to think about this stuff. Prime example, if a woman wants to go on a girl trip with her friends and the husband make all the money, he can say, "Nah, you ain't going." And she be like, "No, I want to go." He's like, "Well, who money? I'm not giving you my money to go on a girl's trip. I know what happens on those girls' trips." A situation like that could occur. So you got to think about that when at home wife. Same thing with men. If men do the, stay at home dad and, you say, man, I want to go hang with the fellas, go play some cards. I need $100 out the account. And the wife say, you better not touch that account. You didn't put no money in there. Then that poses a problem. See, that's why I say when you don't know your significant other like that really so much, it becomes a big problem with finance. A lot of people, like I say, for the most part, I always say this: I don't trust people. People change over time. People actually change over time. What's going on, Country Hustle? People change over time. Yeah, I mean that's like the biggest thing. Nobody really talks about these things going into relationships. Like I said, I talked to my wife before we really got committed fully that if she didn't want kids, there's no need of us going, keep the relationship going. Even she was like, "Wow, you gonna end a relationship just over kids?" Like, I wanted kids, but at the same time, if we can have kids together, there was no need of us, taking it to the next level. And like I said, we was like a month or two or so in, and I was, expressing all this from the jump because my thing was, if we're married, it'll work, you know. And that was the biggest thing that I was expressing to her because, that was her main concern about the kid aspect because, hey, it takes a lot of work. And then on top of that, the work with being married, it helps when you have kids because you're not getting a burden all by yourself. You're working these things out. Hey, I'm gonna need help. I'm gonna need you to pick up the kids. I'm gonna need my wife when the boys were born. She literally had to break me from my twins. Like I was putting them to bed at night. I was telling her to lay down. I was getting up in the morning. I had to go to work. She was on maternity leave. I wanted to have maternity leave so I can kick it with my boys. Like I literally get up, fix the boys up good, and then it was crazy because just fate happens. At the time, I was starting my company and I was doing pretty good in it. Had it for a couple of months, and the relations between me and my business partner kind of fell out to where we wasn't seeing eye to eye with things. So I was out of work for a couple of months, and that was the thing. I was just being there with the kids. My wife was actually jealous about that. It was funny, but at the same time, man, I would feed them, have them washed up, bathe, you know, no Diddy, baby oil for them. I was lotion. I didn't use baby oil, but I would lotion them down and have them ready to go to sleep. They be knocked out. My wife get home. She be want to wake them up just to play with them and mess with them during the week because When they get up, she'll see him in the morning when they get up. But it came down to the point where I went back to work, and that was the thing. Every time I come home, like when my boys were young, we already had that understanding that, hey, I'm gonna help, I'm gonna be around, and I was a lot. Like I literally would take them. I go to parties. I would bring them to parties with me and do so much stuff with them. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Most people don't talk about none of this stuff on the list. None of this. I've talked to my wife. If we ever got a divorce, what would happen if I get sick and I die? Do she want to remarry? Am I gonna remarry? You know, this was the stuff that we talked about after marriage, but before marriage, we talked about sex. We talked about, like, like I told my wife, sex is like water. If you cut my water off, you would be mad if I go get water from somewhere else, but I'm thirsty. What am I gonna do? She understand that. That's, I mean, it's the PG version of it that's clean, but it is what it is. Sex is like water to most men. Not saying that we need it every day, every hour on the hour, but at the same time, like withholding sex, one of the women that I follow on Instagram pretty good is Love Dorsey. Love Dorsey, she had a video, and she said that, sitting here and holding back sex from a man after a while, he don't want it because when you try to present it like something on the platter, he's gonna be like, when I want it the other 5 times I didn't get it, so it don't matter. And like what I was saying earlier, like it could be a point to where if he's not getting sex at home, any woman he sees is gonna, spark his interest. This woman could have some slop socks. It could be a homeless woman. You know, it doesn't matter when it comes down to it. If he's to the point of being vulnerable, he's gonna be like that. It's gonna be a situation to where he's gonna want a woman. Same thing with cooking. If a woman don't cook at home, that man's gonna get to the point where if his coworkers bring him food, he's gonna look at the coworker as one of the most wonderful women in the world because she bring him a piece of chicken. She go out there and get him something to eat one day when he didn't have no money and he was sitting there hungry, didn't have no money, and he tried to play it off. Well, I'm gonna just keep working. Things like that. Like I always tell my wife, I say men cheat for a reason. Otherwise, if you married a dog, that's you not doing your due diligence. But most men cheat for a reason. Most men don't go out there just looking for women to have sex with. There's a reason for a man, and it's the same, to a degree for a woman. You know, most of the time they say women cheat up, but when it comes down to it, like I say, it's for a reason. She feels neglected at home. That man doesn't show her no love. Most guys are vultures. They're vulnerable. When they see vulnerable women, they know how to handle the situation. You know, you don't got to be the most prettiest guy. You all that stuff. All you have to do is always the key thing with most women. You make them laugh and you spark an interest, and that's what men as well. Most men, you will make them laugh and spark an interest. That's the forbidden fruit where Eve gives the apple to Adam. In those relationships, that's what follow. That curiosity would kill the cat. That's why I say most people don't talk about stuff like this. They don't talk about sex, even the point of cheating. Most people understand that, man, you cheat, your woman gonna go crazy. But it's to the point of you cheating. Why? And a lot of people don't talk about that. A lot of people don't have those conversations about cheating. Yeah, and it when you make your vows, it does say all for rich or for poor, for sickness, health, all that. But when it comes down to it, how does the vows actually work when the relationship has not been solidified through the vows? If one cheats for this reason, that means the other sparked that reason for them to cheat. Even though that other person was the first person to cheat, who initiated the process first? Oh, my head hurt. Every night my head hurt. Because there are some men that do that. There are some men that hold back sex from their wives because they just not in the mood. She might got a little weight. He don't like it no more because she might gain a little weight, or something might happen to where he don't like it no more. Instead of him saying, "Baby, you want to go to the gym? We work out together." Most of the time, that's the biggest aspect with most men. They will complain about their women gaining weight, but they won't go to the gym with them. Most of the time, there's men like that. They got big, but they won't go to the gym. They won't express how they need to work with each other to do the best. Me and my wife talks about this all the time. When we get older, we gotta look out for each other. I can't have all this weight on me when I get older because it's gonna be harder to come off. My wife, same thing. She says the same thing, and she's small, but she says she want to tone her body, and that's the thing with most people. Like I say, the relationship is never talked about. Yeah, and the crazy part about that fairy tale, I seen one with this woman. She was comparing, and I'm about to get ready to get off of here too. Comparing her relationship to another person's relationship. So this woman's comparing her relationship to her husband's, well, her boyfriend's friend relationship. So her and the guy was together for a year, and they said, "Well, if we together for a year, we'll discuss marriage and kids." So she was under the impression after the year they might have a child together. Not marriage, but a child together. So that was first grade number one. So they said within 3 years they'll work it out. We'll see from 3 years. He said it's like a lease agreement on it. And the guy was talking with her and she agreed with it. After 3 years, they would revisit this whole thing and see can it work. Cool, no problem. They both agreed with it. Within those 3 years, they met a friend from his friendship. This him and his woman just got into a relationship. They said within a year of them being together, they'll end up having a kid. So going into his first year, so 3 years, it might have been three or it might have been four. But going into year 3 or 4, that's when they met this couple. So going into year 5, which is the first year that the other couple was together, they fooled around and had a kid. Just so happened the woman was pregnant at the same time as the other one, and so they both had a kid around the same time, about like a month or two split, say the least. So the guy proposes to the woman around, I guess, around the time that they were having a kid, and let it be known that, hey, we finna get married within a year. Going into almost year, see, that was 4. A year later, that was 5. And then another year after having that kid of year 5, 6, they were talking about getting married. So going into I say 7 years. They was in a relationship for 7 years, had a child. I think the child's almost about 2, because their kids were about 2 together. The lady said the other couple got married and they still were trying to figure things out. How you in a single relationship trying to figure out what you want to do? I mean, a relationship involves two people. She should have been voicing her opinion more and expressing, if you don't want to be in a relationship, I'll leave and find somebody else, because generally that's what most women do, waste their time in these relationships. If the man is throwing hints that he don't want to get married, why are you still there? Maybe he'll change his mind, or you can change his mind, because people don't talk about this. She talked to him, he wasn't ready for the talk, or something's going on, leave. So it got to the point in that conversation, she said that her boyfriend was talking about proposing to her. She said if he proposed, he would not marry him because it's been 7 years they've been together, 7 8 years, and he never once proposed. The other girl, she got married within a year and had a kid within the year. So she's taking their relationship and like, hey, if she can do all that, why can't I do all that? But like I said, it goes back into the money aspect, the relationship not being able to talk about things. But as I said, I'm about to get ready to get off of here. About to go get into some family affairs. But needless to say, shout out to everybody in the building. Appreciate you for coming in. And I always say hit that like button on the way out. And if you're here, peace, peace, peace. You know what I always say? We here and we gone. Peace.